If you can gain control of AIM's network temporarily, I can infiltrate their security system.
Who's next? One precision airstrike coming right up. Bad guys.
No match for us.
I think that was the last baddie.
Head for the terminal so I can get you inside the lab.
Heads up! Up ahead!
AIM's network is equipped with a multi-point authentication system. I need access to multiple terminals. The more the better. AIM will attempt to initiate a shutdown protocol if they gain access to the terminals. You cannot let them.
You shouldn't have done that.
AIM is trying to remove me from their systems. Beginning infiltration. The shutdown protocol is progressing. That helps, thank you. I'm inside AIM's security system.
Finding positions.
That helps, thank you. The shutdown protocol is progressing.
We can still turn this around!
Beginning infiltration. I'm inside AIM's security system. AIM is trying to remove me from their systems.
Sleep well.
I've breached AIM's security network.
comes.
But we prevailed.
Looks clear for now.
A number of kidnapped SHIELD agents are fighting AIM forces. Help them.
That's all of them.
There are the agents. Help them defeat AIM.
Leveling the area! Happy to assist.
Get ready.
Here we go.
No match for
You asked me. Bogey!
God of Thunder cowers before no one.
Can't help.
The agents are safe. Sending them pickup coordinates so they may evacuate.
Oh wow, okay, so I was muted the whole time. That was cool. I can display activity, chat, I can do all these different stuff. Position. What if I display the chat? What does that do? Does that affect anything? That's cool. Nice. So, Avengers, am I right?
I've sent
The
Commander
Winter
Hill a
Soldier
rendezvous
is
location
finally
to extract
out.
the SHIELD agents. Well
I
done.
was going on this full-on just kind of rant about the game and the state of it and how it is a hit or miss with many people. The Russian punch. This ability is called the Russian punch. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about Winter Soldier in this game, then I don't know what is. Okay, so using intrinsic ability adds extra damage to it, kind of like every other character in the game. So that's fantastic. No, just kidding. I don't know. I'm very cynical when it comes to new characters in this game because, you know, back in 2020, the game came out, it was in 2020, I think. Unless it wasn't. Was it? I think it was 2020 or 2019. I feel like it's 20. When the game first came out, there was not you know, a whole lot. There was a whole lot to look forward to, I should say. But then they kind of dropped the ball in a lot of different ways because they're very, very much disappointed us, the fan base, hardcore fans for Marvel. Perhaps not so much. There's quite a bit of there's quite a bit of passion that goes into this game, and that's quite commendable. From the perspective of, I guess, it's quite commendable from a certain perspective because we know it was made by like a creative team that has read the comics, that kind of know a little bit about what the fans love, what the fans want, I should say. So they did sprinkle in quite a bit of quite a few Easter eggs and little bits of fan service for hardcore fans of the comics. But if you're like a casual fan of Marvel, a lot of the little kind of Easter eggs, the kind of little references, will probably go over your head, and that's going to be, it's not going to be as interesting in that regard. However, the game is very. I feel like it's lazy. I want to say the game's very lazy. But having just finished playing Gotham Knights, I hate to say it, my guys, but like
discovered a Terrigen research
in a lot of,
where AIM has been
I think you should be quiet,
conducting
Jarvis.
experiments on
I think you should be quiet.
We'd like to get hold of
I
any
don't
materials
like
they've been using in their research.
Please be
But
quiet.
first we must gain access to AIM's laboratory
There it
pods.
is.
Defend the
dialogue.
lab's main access point while I hack into their system. Warning, this area will be well defended.
Okay. Alright, that works. Alright. He kind of looks like Elon Musk. Oh, I'm already getting shot at in the cutscene. That's pretty cool. I want the full one. Give me the full one. What was I going to say? Yeah, having played Gotham Knights, I can just say, in terms of laziness, I feel like Gotham Knights wins out there. Like, just speaking, like, in terms of, I guess, how each game runs compared to one another. I remember when I first got Avengers on a PS4, the game was fine, right? It just ran into a lot of performance issues. I had that game clocked at about 30 frames per second. It's not like, it wasn't anything, to call home about. I feel like the interesting part about that is we had frame rate issues on the PS4. Normally I had it clocked at 30 frames per second, but when the screen got very complicated, when there was a lot of enemies spawning, or if I ran into like a new room, I'd have massive frame drops, and it's not very fun, I don't think. Like losing kind of frames in a lot of different places. It does ruin the gameplay experience a little bit. Playing now on a PS5, I don't experience any frame related issues, and I think you can have the highest quality. We'll go highest performance, because I think performance. I should be able to, like, my current monitor should be able to run 60 frames per second. I think on an even better, like a better console, even we might be able to run a better console, a better monitor. You could run 120 frames per second in like a really high definition rendering. There is high definition rendering, so that you could theoretically play this on at 120 FPS, which of course, I don't know, from a performance standpoint, that's it's more impressive than Gotham Knights, which is eternally clocked at 30 frames per second, which is very much just disappointing for a game that came out exclusively on next gen consoles. It's kind of I don't know. It's just very disappointing. But for this game, which came out on both last gen consoles, this was before I believe the PS5 even came out almost. And then now that it has been ported over to next gen consoles, it runs 120 FPS fine. it plays fine. I'm not running into any performance issues at the moment. So that's another, a massive kind of win for this game, where as opposed to, I suppose, a Gotham Knights. But once again, I just got to say, it is very disappointing. Gotham Knights. You look at what this game is and how much fan backlash it got, how terrible people found it turned out to be, and then you look at what it's become now. It's still essentially the same game. It's still essentially the same game with the same problems, but at least from a performance standpoint, we have a lot more going. It has a lot more going for it, essentially, which it is what it is, and it'll forever be Avengers. As I said, 100 hours in this game. That's how much I've gotten. It's quite impressive. It's quite impressive. The amount of playability the game has, despite its shortcomings, especially for fans of Marvel. You won't, as a gamer, go out and purchase this game because you want a good gaming experience. There are plenty of other games with similar kind of offerings that are 10 times better. Speaking of, we're looking at God of War, both the 2018 version and the current Ragnarok. I've just finished playing Ragnarok. I think it is absolutely fantastic. Has a similar gameplay kind of. No, I to say the gameplay is similar. That's kind of disrespectful to God of War. Poll before performing "Get Bucked." This is "Get Bucked." Okay. Let's have a look at these. So we got Natural Fighter, of course. Russian Punch. Payback, yep, that's cool. Glinting Blade, Cyclone Edge, that's pretty cool. As Above, that's pretty cool. So Below, As Above, So Below, yep, very nice. And then you got From Within. That is interesting. Oh wow, that's actually a pretty cool move. Yeah, you got Get Bucked, Heavy Handler, Dead Drop, Buckshot, Mud Gun, Bionic Detonation, Vengeful Ghost, Explosive Entrance, Double Barrel, Blast Zone, Suppressive Fire, Piercing Strike, Under Barrel Delivery. Alright, so he has a grenade launcher, which is like his third attachment. So that's to be important. Stalwart, Conductive Metal, Bloodletting, Soldier's Generosity. Unstoppable. Yeah, that's pretty interesting because a lot of people get wrong about the comics. Not about the comics, about the character Bucky. They think because in the movies his arm is made out of vibranium, that's the same for the comics. I'm speaking for like I don't know, 2010s. It might be different. He might have a vibranium arm now, but as far as I know, his arm is like a very conductive metal, which is strong enough to deflect knife, like knives break off of the arm. He's a very interesting character. If you want to read Bucky, I suggest definitely having a look at Ed Brubaker's run of Captain America. That's all you really need to know right there. That's a great starting point, specifically for Bucky. If you're a Captain America fan, by all means, go and read Ed Brubaker's run of Captain America. It is some of the best literature that Marvel has to offer. You will not regret it. I certainly didn't. It's one of the only Captain America stories that I've read. I have read some of the original 1944, I think. No, it would have been 1944, 1945 Captain America comics. Maybe, maybe even earlier than that. That have been first published. But those ones are also, really fun to read. If you're into kind of vintage comics, you can get to reading those. They're pretty fun. To trace his lineage, I guess, Bucky's lineage. No, is it lineage? That's not the right word. To kind of trace his history through the Marvel universe. You kind of want to start with something that's accessible. A lot of people like to start all the way at the beginning with comic books, but I think that's kind of it's pretty good if you're able to put in the amount of time and effort that requires. I started with Spider-Man, like the Amazing Spider-Man. I started with the 1962. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, I like that. I didn't even realize that. I started with the 1962 Amazing Fantasy 15. I read from there all the way to the current run of Spider-Man, some issue 902. I'm currently up to, I think, 902. So I'm all the way caught up with as far as, things go. I've read every issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Lots of issues of Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man, some, side storylines as well. I of course haven't read every Spider-Man story under the sun. That's a bit going a bit too far. I would love to at one point, to be able to say that, but unfortunately, with the availability of some issues in comic books, and anyway, I digress. But when you're starting with a character like Captain America, who has over nearly like a whole century's worth of stories to read, you really want to start in a place that kind of gives you everything that Captain America is. You need a really strong kind of introduction to the character, and that's why people like to go with the first issues, because they are the origin issues. But if you know, like, a character like Spider-Man or a character like Captain America, who's been around for such a long time, they tend to rehash origins quite a lot. I know with Spider-Man, they like to rehash his morals, his ambitions, his aims, and his reasoning for being Spider-Man. Like almost every 50 issues, they rehash the Uncle Ben deaths plotline. They rehash all this stuff, not because people forget. Well, yeah, of course, but also there were a lot of new readers coming in, dropping in at different points in the 80s. It was kind of like, this will be the first Marvel comic book you read, and that'll be like, it's important that who the character is, you're caught up to speed and everything. But you could, as I said, start reading at any point, but, for a really satisfying read through, I found starting with Amazing Spider-Man. It took me 2 years, but it was probably, in my eyes, I wouldn't say it's the most definitive way to read it. Some of those comic books are quite dated. Of course, they were written in the '60s, so the world, of course, looks different. Attitudes are different. But yeah, it's up to you guys, I guess. What you guys are looking at doing, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to watch, what you're trying to read. People like to say start with J. Michael Straczynski, or like the 1999 when they started renumbering Spider-Man. I think that is one of the worst places to start reading Spider-Man for a couple different reasons. One is you have like 440 plus issues preceding that run. And it comes right at the point where Spider-Man has himself kind of, retired. He's kind of had enough. He's kind of spat that. Not even spat the dummy. That's the wrong word to use. But it's a point where he's kind of. It's a good refresher, but to understand where he has been up to that point is kind of half the. It's kind of important. I for one was going to start reading at that point, but decided against it simply because I wanted more to the story, and it was right after a massive kind of storyline in which he just lifted a building, like he held a building up in like the last story arc. So you miss a lot of fantastic storylines. 400 plus issues is quite it's quite a lot of issues. So you generally want to start somewhere somewhere nice. But if you're not interested in reading those 400 somewhat issues, I wouldn't start in the 1999. I would start in Brand New Day. Now, Brand New Day is a very divisive run, but I just realized this is we're talking about the Winter Soldier in this, but I'm not talking about Spider-Man. This is kind of counterintuitive, I think. It's pretty cool how he sticks bombs on them. It's very Jason Todd. Very Jason Todd from Gotham Knights. Very Jason Todd-ish. Very Jason Todd-esque, I should say. Right, so currently we're just going to try and unlock as many abilities as possible, because we want to experience this character in his prime. And in order to do that, we're going to have to kill dudes. Quite a few dudes, I imagine. I think Black Panther. I know I didn't play very much of Black Panther when he came out. I gotta go back and enjoy some of these characters a bit more, give them a bit more love. I played Spider-Man to completion, so as I said, he's fully leveled up. I fully leveled up Spider-Man. Captain America, of course, I love me some Captain America. I think he's probably the best character to play for like a new timer, like a first timer, I should say, not a new timer. What am I saying? He's probably the best character to play because he's so fun to play. Also, he's also just kind of he's also very just display activity. Yep. Position. He's also very fun to play. He's also kind of easy to pick up. All the characters are easy to pick up. They all play very similarly to each other, which is a strength, but it's also a big weakness in the game design. It does make variations in characters a lot less interesting. Oh, please don't shoot me. But I noticed, you know, some of these characters that come out, especially kind of Black Panther, who's like his whole kind of moveset, just the way his character moves around the world, is very much Captain America-esque. He's got the double jump. He's got the same kind of, you know, traversal abilities. The only thing that's different about him is the shield, which is, of course, that's what makes Captain America so fun to play, is his abilities that he has regarding the shields. Oh, okay. There it is. So yeah, I wouldn't go ahead and recommend playing the game if you don't enjoy grinding. I know grinding is a very hard thing to get into because, well, you know, it's grinding. That's not the best way to play video games. You should be having fun at every point. It shouldn't be a grind. But there's something very kind of rewarding about playing a character to the point where you're like an expert at the character, as opposed to, you know, starting out, you don't really know what you're doing, and that's kind of, you know, in of itself, kind of its own little blight. But you know, it's fun. The game is fun. I will admit I have had a lot of fun with this game. I know a lot of people haven't, and I, at least, you know, for me, it's fun. You know, I have enough fun to play the game to finish. But in a lot of cases, it doesn't live up to the hype that it had. Not that it really had too much hype. I think all the hype just kind of came from the popularity of the MCU and the popularity of the Marvel characters themselves. Not much really came out of, you know, what this game was trying to do, and for good reason. I think the game doesn't deserve like any awards. I don't think it deserves much praise as one of those, you know, genre-defining, you know, video games. It doesn't really achieve all too much, besides giving you like a very mid beat 'em up. But the amount of depth of some characters that you can, you know, appreciate, it's there. You know, the gameplay is there, and I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point. But yeah, Bucky, he's, as I said, I've been saying a lot of things like, oh yeah, Black Widow. Yeah, he's playing a lot like Black Widow, and that's to be expected. You can't have characters that are completely new. But on the other hand, I will say that the Winter Soldier, I would say he's better than Black Widow. Because I haven't, you know, finished maxing out. Oh, that guy's... He's... Okay. I don't know if you saw that, guys, but like he just went all the way across there. I would say Black Widow's better, or he's better. I just think they've got three... They each have 3 sets of, you know, shooting styles. This one here, the launcher, this is kind of like the pulsar arrows of Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. Or was it just Kate? I think it was just Hawkeye. I'm not sure if Kate Bishop had pulsar arrows. The burst, of course, that's to be expected. That's like your very stock standard type of firing, and then a full auto, which is like Black Widow's full auto. It aims to stun more than anything else. Like, I hit this guy up a bunch of times, he's gonna attack me. But if I just keep hitting him with that, there we go. I do like his animations though. I think this whole like getting into a little fight and then strapping a bomb to them and throwing them away, I think that works really cool for his very well for his character. But beyond that,
You'll need to destroy the locking mechanism.
it's a real question of, you know, how many times you're gonna strap bombs to people. So we're definitely gonna have a look at some of his takedowns. And of course, the cool thing about the game is they're always adding new things. You know, albeit they're not the coolest new things, but you know, they're passable. There we go. So, if I use the gun does a lot more damage than the fists, especially the burst. I think for his character, he's one of the few characters where using the ranged attack probably does more damage than like his actual hand-to-hand abilities, which is cool. It really does emphasize using the rifle above other, you know, things. I find you don't see very often.
Theo, work your magic.
And I'll blow him up. That's pretty cool. There we go. Whee! Ow. That hurt. I just punched a wall. That was pretty cool. Anyway, as far as characters go, it wins points for originality, because our last character that we got, I think all the way back in July, kind of at the same time Thor Love and Thunder was disappointing us. We got Jane Foster Thor, which was very disappointing. Is literally the same moveset as the regular Thor, but the key difference being the ultimate ability, which was, then again, like the same ability as Hawkeye. So it was very much a disappointment. And I hopefully, you know, I hope we never get another character like that. You know, thinking the next hero would probably just be male or female Hulk, or female Iron Man, or female Spider-Man, or, you know, just the gender swapped counterpart. This one here, I guess the closest possible like way to describe him, maybe male Black Widow. But at the same time, as I was saying before, different gun, different moveset, you know, different whole vibe for the character. So wins points there for being different. How many points does it win? Well, how many points can you really give out in a game like Marvel's Avengers, where every character plays essentially the same? I don't really want to play this for all too much more longer, because I feel like even though I haven't maxed out his skill tree, you know, I've essentially gotten everything I needed. For my personal, like, for me personally, I would have chosen Falcon to play. I prefer Falcon as a character, or Vision. I think Vision would have been a better idea for for a playable character. That isn't to say that I don't like the Winter Soldier. I think the Winter Soldier is a fantastic character, and I do like the Winter Soldier quite a bit. But you know, this character, I mean, it's all right, you know. But yeah, it's cool. White Wolf, acquired by claiming shipments. Okay, that's annoying. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I give Bucky I gave a 4 out of 5 for a character. He doesn't come with his own operation, which is kind of annoying because we haven't had a really good operation since the Wakanda Forever one. But still, I think it's worth coming back to the game just to give him check him out a little bit, see what he has to offer. But yeah. Hope you guys have more fun with him than I have. I feel like if you're a Winter Soldier fan, you will definitely have more fun. Me, I wanted Vision. I wanted Vision, or I wanted Vision, or I wanted who else could I have wanted? Vision, Falcon, anyone. Not really anyone, actually. Very specific list of characters that I would have wanted. Maybe even Doctor Strange, but well. It is what it is.